All right, it's going. Well, we're probably just live at this point. Hi, everybody. I pushed a button, and now it seems that we're probably live. There usually is music, but Maddie does all that stuff. Or I could do this. Watch this. All right. Successful countdown. We made it into the show. How is everybody doing?
Hey, Dave. Good job.
I can count on one hand the number of times that I have been given control of the StreamYard producer view of things. So this is pretty cool. Well, hello, everybody that is tuning in. I am David Ortinau, product manager for .net, and I have brought two of my very best friends in the entire world that we just spent a wonderful week together in Seattle. So starting at the top of the screen, let's go with, nope, pointing that way. Beth, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey. Yeah, I'm Beth Massi. I'm sort of a newish product manager on the .NET MAUI team.
You're just a
I'm
babe.
just, been around Microsoft for a while, but new to the team. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. It's been awesome. I'm almost 1 year, Dave. Almost a year, I think. Like 2 weeks away from a year on the team. So
what a year it has been. And with us also is Becky.
Hi, I'm Becky. I'm also a new PM on the .NET MAUI team, and I am the newest PM. Okay, so not Beth, it's me. And I also just joined Microsoft. Before that, I was a math teacher for 9 years, so this is quite a different world. But I'm really happy to be here.
Hi, 10. And we're glad you're here too. We have a Maddie parade in the chats, it looks like. Hi, Maddie.
Oh.
Go back on your break. So Maddie is on, I don't know, just a vacation. She's, I would say, recovering from build. However, it looks like she got even busier with her travels since leaving Seattle. So I think she'll be back today or tomorrow whenever Amtrak drops her off and she gets logged in. So she'll be back. But you've got us today. Can I say the inmates are running the asylum? And
Yeah,
we are going to we'll do some of the normal things. I have a few highlights from the community that I'll go through. I thought we could also go through a few release related things, celebrate what's happening in the .NET ecosystem, and then we can just have a little chat, a little rap session, debrief, if you will, live about this whole thing. So before we got started, before I hit the countdown, Becky says, so what is this thing that I said yes to?
That actually happened. I don't know what this is, but I had a free hour in my schedule, so here I am.
And we are so appreciative. All right, so here's a good message to start off with. So Almir is reminding me to check my email. I am a nag-driven contributor, right? So if you are not getting a reply from me, you just do what Almir's doing. Just nag. I totally appreciate it. I will reply to your email. Thank you for the reminder. Whoa, I didn't mean to click that. Go away. What happened was the message popped.
I don't even know what you're doing, Dave. So you just keep doing.
Logged in, and now we're here.
You just logged in. Yeah, you've got the simplified view. I have all these other bananas things that I can do. Like we used to have slime. Oh, here it is.
Like
Nickelodeon.
And then we have like a little Christmassy thing we can do. Ooh, confetti. Congratulations on a great build, everybody.
Yeah, it was actually pretty exciting to kind of be not in behind the scenes. It was more about talking with customers this time. So I really enjoyed this build, like personally, because I used to be in marketing and had to run the whole thing in the back. So it's just really cool. Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, before we get into that, let's cover some normal business. Here is we have URL list back, sort of. So I guess the website, because they had been using Twitter for the login, and that's no longer a really safe, reliable thing to do. So I don't know if this is the format Maddie had been using for the URL lists, but I grabbed some good content, blogs, a lot of videos this time around. Of course, the build playlist is in there. So check all this stuff out, and we will get going. And out of there. So I'll share my screen. Present. All right. Now I'm sharing my screen, and nope, not that screen. Pardon. See, this is also a little different on my side. I want this screen. There we go. Oh, I know why. Because I have little fruit flies. Changed my primary. All right. Whew. All right. So first things first, you're going to want to bookmark this. This is a playlist of all the sessions from Build this past week. And there is a ton of .NET content in here. So highly recommend you check that out. Of course, we had several sessions. We'll talk a little bit about that later. And we'll also talk about, general highlights and things like that. I think we might have mentioned this no, you don't need to play it. No, I don't need an advertisement. I'm not even logged in. Look at that. Yeah, stop. What? Dismiss. Go away. Ah! All right. So anyway, So what we've got here is we've got Gerald, our good friend Gerald, has put together, skip the ads, a video on implementing using a UI test in your applications, or in this case, we switched videos. So now he's combining Maui and hybrid. So that was totally not the video that I was going to initially. It was this one. There we go. See, UI test. So Xamarin UI test, of course, was the UI testing library for ever and ever for Xamarin applications. And those who are coming to Maui have been missing it for a while, especially on iOS. And so it's nice to see that the library has now been updated to be compatible with .NET 6 and newer. So if you have a suite of UI tests that you've been looking to run and waiting maybe even to do your migration because you needed to be able to run your tests, now you have that. So check that out. Also, let's skip the videos because that's going to be problematic over and over and over again. So Vladislav, he's a major contributor to so many things in the .NET MAUI ecosystem, and you can buy him coffee. He did this great blog post. You know, people ask me pretty frequently, hey, why is all the content, you know, like beginner level stuff? And where's the deep dive stuff? Well, I would consider this to be a pretty deep blog post. So he goes into generating or creating customizations to shell so that you can get UI looking like this. I can zoom in that way. So you can get the navigation bar like away from the edges of the screen, and you can round the corners. Similarly, the tab bar, if that's an effect that you're looking for. And does it by attaching to the different shell controls and overriding the renderer and doing all that work, as well as how to do it in the platform specific areas for the platforms that you're targeting. So, you know, there's a lot of drawing and layout and measuring things happening here. So check that out. Also, did I mention major contributor to the community toolkit? So love everything that he does. We don't buy him enough coffee, honestly. We should have sent him coffee from Seattle.
Hey Dave, do you have that URL that you showed before? Can you post it in the YouTube chat?
Yeah, I'll post it in all the chats. Thank you.
Cool.
There you go.
Sweet.
Hey, cool. All right, so that was a really good blog post I thought was worth looking at. Of course, Zammy is back at it. And so Leo Marie Reyes has Lottie animations. If you're not using Lottie animations, it's a great way to dress up your app and immediately add some personality to it, as well as some nice interactivity. So these are typically very small payloads, small file sizes, JSON describing animations with vectors, vector images. And then you can use Skia Sharp, which is what she's demonstrating right here, in your Maui application to embed them in your app. So if you've ever looked at the point of sale app that is in our samples repo, you can see that I use this for the payment screen on the handheld. So very simple, very easy to use.
By the way, if you're doing Blazor Hybrid with Maui, Dave, you can actually just use the JavaScript directly. So you just embed the JavaScript file and it just runs. It just runs. Yeah.
Wow. You don't need a Silverlight player or like a Flash player?
Yeah, you don't need. You can do the Skia Sharp thing if you want, but you can also just use Blazor. It's kind of cool.
Oh, sweet. I actually did not know that. Yeah. Learned something. Came to work and learned something today. Matt Lacey has put out an update to his app accelerator extension for Visual Studio. So with this, you can do such cool things as add a new page with a media element on it. So it's bringing in community packages like the community toolkit, and it's giving you very easy to use templates. You can dress up your application. You don't have to go looking for code for these things. Even has some benchmark.net stuff, EF Core, Akka hosting, if you're going that direction with your setup. Aloha Kit from our very good friend and core engineer on the Maui team, Javier. Simple toolkit. This has been a fun one. We've highlighted this before, and there are some helpers for things like shell and customizing the tab bar, similar to what we just showed, but kind of baked into this toolkit. Whole bunch of other stuff there, so y'all might find that really useful. And then Uranium UI toolkit. It's all a bunch of highly customizable UI controls. So we've highlighted that one before too. Have you all seen this one, Beth and Becky?
No, I haven't seen that.
Becky? Has Becky seen this one before? When you want to refer to them at the same time.
Joke on the team that we're one person. That everybody confuses us, so we're Beth Key now.
It happened a few times at Build.
When Maddie's in the group, it's Mad Beth Key.
For some reason, I've not found myself in that situation. That's weird. All right. So this is a great UI toolkit. If you've not seen it before, it's definitely worth a look. Tons of controls, validations, dialogues, icons, blah, blah, blah. So check that out. And let's see. Oh, I highlighted this in our build session, but there is a new kid on the block, a new old kid. So Exceed has been around making UI components for WPF and desktop applications for years and years and years. And since Maui came out, they started talking to us and said, hey, we think this is a good opportunity for us to get into the game. We kind of were on the edge with the Xamarin stuff, but it looks like .NET MAUI is much more aligned to what we do. And so they have now shipped, and keyword here is free, a free set of controls. So it's a bunch of buttons. You got some numeric up and downs. You've got content controls, cards. If you go on over here to GitHub, super easy to use stuff. I pulled this down and played around with it. In particular, the button, which I really liked because you can drop any content you want to in it. So those who are, WPF developers, UWP, WinUI, you're used to having the ability to just drop any content you want to in any control. And so these controls have that kind of customizability. And they've done really, really nice work. They look great. They are super easy to use. So check those out. Glad to have more options available in the ecosystem. And there's more, they'll have more stuff coming. This is just their first volley into the ecosystem. And I saw this one. I get asked about this sort of thing a lot. Material components for Maui. So in Xamarin Forms, we had a package of material components. And it was a somewhat limited package, but it was based on a library that Google made for iOS. So we had the stuff that's built in for Android, and then we were able to pair that up with the iOS library. Right around the time that we started planning .NET MAUI, and I don't know if Beth Key knows this, but Google dropped that library. So they stopped supporting it. And so we lost our dependency there. And so we had to decide where do we put our effort. And it wasn't super heavily used. And we have options like this in the community that we can go to. So that's really cool. How's it going in the chat? Am I missing anything in the chat?
I'm sorry, I was just laughing about the chat.
Yeah.
Maddie's making jokes. She's handling it.
Maddie's making jokes. She's such a comedian. Did you know what Maddie did? Do you know what Maddie did? Okay, so let's tell a Maddie story. Oh, do I have to,
Which one?
I should probably get a photo for this. Hang on a second. Where could I find this?
You're so cruel. She's not here to
I know she's not here to defend. Me and Becky are gonna have to, defend her.
No. So this is pretty straightforward. So here's the story. Hang on a second. So here's the story. So we were at a baseball game last night. You knew it was the baseball game story? So I was complicit in this. So we were at the baseball game. The Seattle Mariners were playing the A's. They beat the A's, which is very important.
Everybody beats the A's, Dave. Let's move on.
Yeah, but there was a certain someone in our booth wearing an A's jersey. Beth.
Yeah, who was that?
Someone who's from Oakland. Sorry.
So here's what happened. So that night they had been celebrating dog adoption, rescue, pet stuff. And as we left the booth that we were in, we saw all these people going down the ramps, exiting the stadium. And so we just walked through the gate that was barely separating us from these people. We didn't, unlock anything. And we started going down the ramps with them, exiting the stadium. And as we're going back and forth down the ramps, I can see the ground coming closer. I see the street. I'm like, okay, we're doing great. But then suddenly everybody stops. And I'm like, what's going on? And then we look up and we realize we are in some basement almost hallway. And as people start to move forward, I realize we're not exiting the stadium. All these dogs around us are about to go run on the field, and we are right in the middle of it. So Maddie and I are just crying with laughter because it's like, what do you do? Like it's more work to go backwards, right? It's more work to be like, I'm not supposed to be here. And by the way, super fun. We're going on the field. And so, yeah, there are pictures. Somebody can find one and share it. It's pretty funny. And the people probably thought we were just out of our minds because we were laughing so hard.
It was pretty hilarious.
I got to walk the field. I touched home plate. I saw a dog painted in an American flag, a little poodle, getting its picture taken on second base. So that was there you go. This is what happens when you go to build with Maddie. All right. So I want to cover some releases, and then we can talk about some build highlights. All right. So back to my screen. You can do it. All right. Cool. So some cool releases this past week. I wanted to give a shout out and celebrate. Firstly, Avalonia has shipped RC, release candidate of their V11 for UI. So if you are a WPF developer, you like using drawn UI, you like the way Avalonia does things, then check this out. It's all .NET. Love it. Love anybody using .NET. So wanted to give that a shout out and congratulations. It sounds from what I'm reading here that this has been a long time coming effort. So it's wonderful that you've achieved this RC status. Can't wait to see everybody using it. Similarly, the Uno platform shipped their second major release just like a week ago. So wanted to give that a shout out. Over 200 fixes. That's like the name of the game for us these days, right? In .NET MAUI, it's like fix this. Also supporting .NET 8 Preview 2. So that is awesome. I hope everybody is starting to give a look to .NET 8. I know that it still probably feels like early days, but we've got a lot of great work going into .NET 8. And there's another preview upcoming, of course, in just like, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, something like that. And so hope everybody gives that a look and evaluates, MAUI. Hi, Dan. Hi, Jeremy. Jeremy was working for us this past week. Jeremy was an expert in the, I don't know, what was our room called? Was it the .NET room?
Yeah, it was a .NET room.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. He has one of these blue expert shirts as well. Yeah. And we saw Dan this past week. I don't know, Dan, did you work? You were just around. I think Dan might have just been enjoying himself. All right. So, of course, MAUI has been releasing as well. We had a Preview 4 release. You need to install this from the command line. And we have a lot of work actively happening as part of .NET 8 to really improve the whole install and management of versions part of .NET MAUI between Visual Studio and the CLI, having multiple versions you can pin to. Okay, Dan is an expert also. So you have this, you have the hoodie. Congrats. I thought you were. So yeah, Preview 4 is out. Don't be too scared of the command line install and worry about borking your system, but always back up. Maybe try a dev box, right? Spin up a dev box, or what I use that sandbox thing. Does anybody else use sandbox? Nobody knows what I'm talking about.
You can actually install a 17.7 Preview 1 of Visual Studio. Also has an optional install for .NET 8 Preview as well.
But is that everybody sees that?
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
All right.
What? Really?
There is a checkbox.
There's a checkbox.
I heard
it's kind of funky though.
No, it's hard to find. So in the next blog and in the next release, I'm going to put a big old picture of where the checkbox is because some of us couldn't even find it. But it is, you're right. It is there. Sandbox. I'm not that old. Well, everybody should play in the sandbox. So Windows Sandbox. This is a thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, you just watch this. Look how
I've been
fast
playing
I
with
have,
dev drives. I'm a little bit
I have
different.
a clean Windows environment like that. That's like less than 15 seconds.
Is that in the dev, whatever they have? Like, what is it called? I don't know.
Anybody in the chat? Does anybody ever use Sandbox?
What's this thing called?
Am I showing you something that's secret? I don't think so.
Jeremy would know. Dev Home. I've been playing
Dev
with
Home.
Dev.
Oh yeah, the Dev Home stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to play with Dev Home yet. That's one of the build announcements, right?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it was released before build, but they showed it off at build. But yeah, the Dev Drive is what I've been playing with, which is cool. Been looking at it, seeing if it speeds up our Android builds actually, because there's a lot of files that are written in an Android build. So Dev Drive is cool because it's a little faster and yeah, it's a resilient file system. I think that was introduced in Windows Server 2012, if ever remember that.
Wow.
But it also, yeah, it doesn't. It kind of gets services out of the way like Defender and that sort of thing. So it's supposed to be faster. Yeah.
All right, seeing some Dev Home, Dev Drive love here. So
Cool.
I guess we all need to go check that out next. All right, last thing I wanted to call attention to here is, hey, there is now a Windows map handler. It is backed by a web view, so it is not a native map for Windows, but it at least completes all the handlers for the map. So what we ship today is Android, iOS, and Mac. And Windows didn't have a control in WinUI 3. So we Rui, from our team, sent this PR to the Community Toolkit, and it's been in review for a bit. But hey, he gets, I guess, Hacktoberfest credit for this. You know, never too late for a little Hacktoberfest. See, maybe you can still qualify for a T-shirt. And so that's nice.
I saw
so
someone give a shout out on Twitter around this. Actually, it was cool. I gotta play with that.
Yeah, I saw that too. So you know, I think it's a great option. I see a lot of folks, and actually, as part of our build session, we saw that Earth Solutions, that Rod came up and spoke at the beginning of our session and shared how they are using Maui. I noticed that they're also using Esri. So Esri controls seems to pop up a lot, especially when there's some pretty heavy mapping involved. I know that other customers like Polaris have publicly talked about how they use Mapbox, and they actually maintain a binding for it. So does Map need an internet connection, or will it cache for offline use? I am probably, I mean, I don't know for sure, Bill, but I would say that, there's the question. I would say that it probably needs an internet connection in this particular case because it's using a web view. For the others, you can use them offline, the native ones. Yeah. All right, cool. So with that, I'll stop sharing my screen for at least a minute. What, Beth, like what was the big build thing that you saw that was really, really cool? You're like, people kept talking to me about it. They wouldn't shut up.
Well, I mean, we've had like GitHub Copilot announced like what, 2 years ago? 2 years ago build. Last year it went GA. Now we've got Copilots for everything, right? So the big announcement, I think, from build perspective was the fact that developers can build their own Copilots. And we've enabled every single, I think, large Microsoft platform, Office, like, you know, M365, Azure, like you can build your own Copilots for anything at this point. Teams, you know, Visual Studio, we have one, you know, so I think that was like the big thing. And you train it on your own data. So you can actually have your own, like, you know, Chat GTP for my company type thing. So I think that was kind of cool. I haven't played with any of this stuff. I'm sure Becky is like way more into this than me at this point, since she's like an AI expert, right?
I am not an AI expert. I enjoy AI and I love the math behind AI. And probably the thing that I'm most excited about with all the announcements at Build was just kind of lowering the barrier to entry for people who have ideas. They have like a huge tank of creativity and they're ready to go, but they don't necessarily have the technical chops to build from scratch. So it was really cool to see all the tools that they were giving those people to be like, we'll do the technical part for you. You come in with an idea and we'll help you get off the ground. So that was really encouraging.
Yeah. I think the key is it's always been like I've been in this industry for a long time, and it was always like data was where it starts. Like if you own the data, like you pretty much own the knowledge of a certain, area. And it's still true today, right? We're kind of democratizing AI, but you still have to come with your own data, right? It's the data that's really the power, and like unlocking the power in the data that you have. I think that's always going to be pretty true. I think, well, the other thing that I kind of enjoyed was just talking to customers and really getting to know, like, who uses Maui. It was really kind of interesting, like being able to like be kind of in front of the booth, instead of running around configuring the booths this time. Because if anybody doesn't know, like I used to be the director of marketing for .net, so I had to do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. And so this time it was really nice to just actually focus on getting to know customers and their scenarios and what they're doing, and then actually just getting to know them as people, and making connections and starting to build out sort of, a relationship with them. Also being able to meet Becky for the very first time in person. So that was also really a highlight, I think, of Build for me. But to go back to what you were saying, Becky, I think that session with Mark Rasanovich and Scott Hanselman, where, they teach each other to code. I think Mark did a really good job of explaining like how this AI works. Yeah. So if you guys haven't checked out that session online, go and check it out, because it, first of all, was hilarious. It was amazing. And it was also super educational. So I think that was kind of like that was the finale. That was literally the last session of Build. It's cool.
Yeah. And then they kicked us out.
Yeah, they literally like waved us goodbye, which was kind of cute. Like they're like, goodbye, see ya. Like, go get your own lunch. But it was cute. So yeah. I think also, Dave, I think what was really cool about your session, Maddie's session, was just me and Becky were kind of manning the Pubble chat. So this was like the in-person kind of audience. And it was actually a fairly large audience of people like that were coming new to Maui, wanted to learn and get started with it. Earth was awesome. I think that's Rob did a great job. And Maddie did a great job, with the introduction of that. And then the fact that when you called out the Tizen team that was there, and they stood up and everybody cheered, that was just great for, everybody to recognize who in the community is working hard on Maui. So.
Yeah, so I actually gave a local user group session 2 nights ago. And, there were certainly lots of questions about a lot of things, but, the one that everybody wanted to talk about when we got to Q&A was Copilot. Like, what is this? How do I use it? I can build my own Copilot. Who owns the pieces and all this sort of thing? And I'm like, oh, I'm not the right guy. But it's cool. There was a question.
Pretty cool.
There was a question up here. Can I use Copilot in Azure to troubleshoot performance issues? Asking for a friend. So I think that Copilot, anywhere that you need help doing things, if it's not already there, it'll probably be there. Did anybody see Copilot Azure things at Build?
In Azure, you definitely could do it to your code. Like you can ask it to look at your code and troubleshoot or identify any potential performance issues, and it will do a really good job in C# as well, like almost any language. I did not see. It's like the Copilot in the portal. I did not see a demo of that, so I can't comment on that one. But yeah. I have seen many demos within Visual Studio or VS Code that just literally identify the performance issues in your code itself. I was just using it yesterday. Believe it or not, it's amazing for just generating regular expressions. Like, I don't know anybody that's a master at writing regular expressions, but I gave it a pattern and it wrote it out, and then it showed me how to match it. And I'm like, oh my God, it actually worked really fast.
What's that joke about regular expressions? You have a problem and you need regular expressions to solve it, and now you have two problems.
That's but that's kind of like the cool thing I think that Copilot will help you do. You still have to know how to code. You still have to know what you're doing. But it definitely kind of, especially with anything boilerplate or identifying like potential problems in your code, and regular expressions, it's just amazing. It's actually like, I feel like I can code again.
Yeah, I was you can always. So we had two kind of like lightning sessions. Maddie gave a session on Upgrade Assistant, upgrading from Xamarin to Maui. Actually, Olia also gave a session on using the Upgrade Assistant just before that. And then I gave a session on the hybrid web view experiment. And I've been telling this story because it was super useful. So you were both there. And I was trying to, dress up my demo, the live demo. So unfortunately, the live stuff that I did, which was absolutely amazing, probably the best work of my entire career, is not recorded for anybody to see. So that's a bummer. That's a bummer. However, there was a pre-recorded version, which was actually much more concise because there was no joking. It was just me speaking into my camera. So, less entertaining, more educational. So anyway, so I'm preparing and I'm dressing up this demo, but I'm now, because the way the hybrid web view is, right, you're getting .NET and JavaScript worlds to collide and talk to each other. And so what the hybrid web view does is it creates that very nice, 4-lane, 5, or how many lanes do you have down there in California? And like in LA, you got like 6 lanes. You got a lot of lanes. And so it makes it really easy to cross the threshold of the web view. That's primarily the function of the hybrid web view. If you've done this yourself in the past, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, but it's been a minute since I wrote JavaScript. I actually used to write tons of JavaScript, and it's just been a while. So I'm in Visual Studio, and I'm like, okay, I need to be able to figure out if the message that I'm receiving has this particular string in it. So of course, I do what I think I can do, which is .index of, pass in a string, identify where that string is in the other string. And so anyway, IntelliSense lets me do this. Totally does not work. Totally does not work. And so I'm like, and it's like early and my brain wasn't really firing. And Beth's like, you just need to do this. And so anyway, I'm like, and so I asked Copilot in Visual Studio, how do I do this thing? And I just highlight that code and it spits out the code. I'm like, sweet. So then I get my code running. It works, but my animation is like way too slow. Like I'm parsing this entire ASCII art thing. Again, best demo I've given in my entire career. I'm parsing this ASCII art and painting it to the screen, right? But it's just going way too slow. And so I'm like, how do I speed this up? I'm only doing like a 1 millisecond delay. It barely, like if I remove the delay altogether, then there's no animation. So I'm like, okay, well, I can, what can I do? And I think, Beth, you were the one that was like, modulus. You need a modulus operator, and you're going to batch it. And so she's saying all these things, and she's using all these really big words way too early in the morning. And the coffee had not really fully kicked in. We were
at brunch. You should also mention that we're also at a brunch table in a restaurant.
Yes, with some massive French toast.
And I'm eating bacon. I'm like, just come on.
Yeah, so rather than actually parsing what Beth said and understanding it too early, I typed in essentially what she was saying into Copilot, and also, what my outcome was that I wanted, not too prescriptive. And it pumped out a whole method that it knew my method that I had written that wasn't working. It did the modifications necessary to do the thing that Beth was saying. I don't think it was like, listening in. My mic was not open, it's not like Alexa. But it was so cool. I mean, that was one of those aha moments where I'm like, okay, all right, this is legit. And then my demo totally worked, and it was great, and I think people enjoyed it. there was, I think, standing ovation. Do you remember? I think it was. I think they rushed the stage.
To leave the room.
There were like 5,000 people in the room with me. It was crazy. They were only like 50.
Like one dad joke per 2 minutes. KPI, dad jokes per minute.
Yes. I'm on a streak right now. So the hybrid web view thing.
On like what last community stand up to talk about the web view.
That's
so
true.
Like it was nice to actually introduce it to some of the build attendees actually too.
I mean, Maddie remembers.
To kiss his boot.
Maddie remembers. She remembers I was wearing boots. That's fantastic. Oops.
You're lucky you were before Dan Roth though, because his demo was pretty good.
Dan's presentations are so tight. Because you know why? No dad jokes. He rehearses. And he's been doing it a while. So yeah, no, he's hard to beat. He's the pro. He's what we're all striving for. All right. Here's a random question. When is the next release for Maui? So the shipping window, literally everything, is usually the second Tuesday of every month. So it's roughly around that, give or take, holiday, pushing things around. Of course, QA, making sure that everything is actually suitable to go out the door. But that's typically the goal. And if you just look historically at our releases, that's where it lands. I think we missed 1 month earlier this year for some QA reasons, but we've been on it since. So I think a week from Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, look for blogs and releases. But again, that's a target. It's not set in stone. Etched in jello, as we like to say. All right. Anybody else have questions while I'm scanning? A lot of questions about where Maddie is.
Oh, what? Sorry. What?
Lots of questions up here about where Maddie is, exactly what she's doing.
She's describing
basically, they just want Maddie to be back. That's what
her
it is.
vacation. So I was going to say though, the other things you were mentioning, like there's a lot of component vendors just coming out with free controls for Maui. I think that you mentioned that in your breakout session, and you just talked about Exceed, but Dev Express and Sync Fusion, they all have free packs of controls, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at my presentation, I give some highlights of it. So recommend that everybody goes and checks that out. Our session was just entertaining in general. And no, you don't have to watch the end where they come rush the stage and kiss my boots.
That actually was true.
There was one person that asked Maddie to record a video to his kid, convincing his kid to become an engineer.
That's cool.
Or that it was acceptable to be an engineer. I thought that was really wonderful. That was good. Maddie was a good sport to do that. Actually, while you all talk about something, why don't I pull up the slides and I can show a few things.
Yeah, why don't you? It was a good session. Well, I mean, what else, Becky? In the Pubble chat when we mentioned that there were a couple polls that we did. Why don't you recap the poll? See if we can do a poll real quick.
We'll do a poll real quick. I'm gonna step out. Someone just started a lawnmower outside my window. So
you didn't have a sign up that says I'm live streaming.
Dude, I got kicked out of both options for home offices today, which is why you see my game shelf and my bookshelf behind me. I'm like, did I hide all my romance novels? I hope so. But if not, here we go.
Alien romance novels, I tell you.
They had all these like tower things at the convention center, and I was like, Dave, what are these tower things? And he was like, oh, they're for the aliens. That was the joke.
Do you mean the Wi-Fi?
I figured it out eventually, but
Wi-Fi repeaters.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
It was my first build. It was a brand new convention center. Maybe it was like making sure we didn't send out any nasty tweets or secret tweets or anything like that.
You're so gullible.
I know, I really am. But can you hear the lawnmower?
No.
Well, it's just off now. Okay, whatever.
I'm surprised nobody has asked you about your games on the shelves.
I had a a good game collection. Yeah, it's
Wow.
it used to be like our thing. We would host board game nights every week, and if anyone ever wants to play Avalon or Resistance, I will always play it with them.
This is not working.
What are you trying to do?
Well, I'm trying to share my screen, and it's just it's being cranky. Oh, this happened when last stand-up, Maddie tried to share the screen, and I thought she was just able to stop it and restart it, but turn it off and back on again. Pro streamer. Hey, what's up, Fritz? I'm just pushing buttons, my friend. But since you're here,
yeah, can you fix?
Where was that other comment? Somebody was saying that I'm passionate and therefore I should color my beard like Mr. Fritz.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to politely decline on that.
First, happy Pride, everyone.
Because I can't be Jeff Fritz. There's only one. There's only one of them. All right, this is not going to share, so sorry.
I thought Jeff Fritz lived in Seattle because that's the only time I ever see him, and yeah, but it's when you guys are all together. So
he's a good Midwest boy, just like the rest of us. Or me. Okay, so yeah, what else was there? So one of the other things, and this is actually what I wanted to share, but the screen is not cooperating. So UX Divers has GrileKit, and one of the things that has always been a little cumbersome with Grile is that when you configure your screens and you use their beautiful templates and beautiful controls, you kind of have to go back to your template solution and choose your different UI elements, which then generates a solution you can download off their web portal. And then you have to kind of pick and choose that stuff into your solution. So it's a lot of steps, right? Well, what they are working on right now, and they have a preview you can sign up for. Just go watch our presentation. There's a bit.ly link. You can sign up for a preview. Is a Visual Studio extension where you can just write in your own solution, just like right-click, add from their extension, and then you can go pick single components, whole UI flows. You can do that on the fly, and it just goes right into your solution, right where it's supposed to be. And then in addition to that, one of my favorite things is they have a widget, like a panel, I guess we call them, where you can do fonts and like even some stock art. And you can pull that right into your application. It will register the font for you, and you can see all your glyphs. So you can just it's all right there in the UI. I think it's going to be huge. I think people are really going to find this to be super, super useful. So I recommend everybody check that out.
So it's an extension for Visual Studio? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's an extension for Visual Studio. And they've never had free tier stuff. They've got a free tier now. So Becky does have a Twitter handle.
I do have a Twitter.
She's got 0 tweets, but she has a Twitter
Buckler Becky, right?
No, it is something boring though.
No, it's Buckler Becky.
Buckler Becky.
No, it's not.
It is, absolutely is. I tagged you in a tweet.
It is, lady. So she never uses Twitter.
Did I do that? I don't.
You know what? You just don't start now.
I don't have any.
It's like
I have no. Beth gave me some career advice that I need to actually use Twitter and make tweets. So that's on my to-do list.
There are some cool people on Twitter left.
You guys have cool connections for sure. Did I really make that my user? Okay. Sorry, present Becky.
That's been back when you were teaching math. You didn't want people to find you.
Speaking of math and handles, I came up with the best DJ name for someone who enjoys math. I don't know if anyone in the stream will get it, but bass theorem. Okay. Okay, so bass music, right? BASS. Okay. Then theorem, you're like, oh, it's math, right? But have you ever heard of Bayes' theorem?
Oh.
Yes. Well,
Instead of dad jokes, we get math jokes.
She's something else.
Don't get me started. I've got a whole arsenal.
Nice.
You have to do with machine learning though too, because Bayes' theorem is like the idea of like you're looking at subsets of groups and probabilities. So like if I were like, what's the probability that I asked a random person about .NET MAUI and they're like, what's a .NET MAUI? I ask you guys about what's .NET MAUI and you all come back with like good answers. So it's limiting a subset and looking at those percentages. It's very cool. DM me for more math jokes and math facts on my bad Twitter handle.
That's actually a way to get started. People will follow you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you will find an audience for that for sure. And I will follow you for other stuff. So a couple of other things that I think is worth mentioning from Build. There was a session from Damian Edwards and David Fowler on native AOT. And other things, related things that I would recommend everybody checks out. The performance improvements are outstanding. That is also going to be an optional feature for Android and iOS mobile development. So we will, I think, continue to ship with our existing AOT while we, prove out the native AOT aspect for the mobile stuff, because we already had AOT. I also saw a demo of a AOT'd Mac app, .NET MAUI, running on Mac. It was crazy fast. So nice. I think it started up in like 1.2 seconds, 1.5 seconds or something, bananas. And it's a rich app, lots of stuff in it. So that was cool. And then I also saw that one of our coworkers, .NET product manager Jamshed, co-presented on Windows ARM development. So developing for ARM devices, from ARM devices, using Visual Studio on ARM devices. And he showcased a .NET MAUI app, the wonderful point of sale application that is in our samples. So that was cool to see. And actually, when we were watching Satya's keynote, like it seemed like every time I looked up, MAUI was on the screen, whether it was behind him or part of the chat GPT co-pilot-y type stuff or whatever, or an application. So it was great to see that if you were paying attention, you kind of had to at least be paying attention, you would have seen MAUI being at the forefront of the keynote.
I did get a screenshot of that.
Yeah, I rewound. I was like, oh, I gotta get that. Gotta get Satya right there, and I need to get MAUI in the background, and he needs to not be making a weird face.
Right? Yeah, get him in front. Nice.
Any other stuff you all can remember from the hectic week that we had?
I got some good feedback on Windows subsystem for Android, so that was cool. Morton, I got to meet him in person, which was great to chat with him.
Did you call him Dot?
Dot Morton, yes. That is Morton Dot. Yeah, it was really cool to be able to kind of just riff, and Jeremy too. Thank you for Jeremy's feedback as well. So yeah, hopefully we can. We showed off the Barista V6 plugin for that John wrote for just kind of lighting up WSA as a debug target in Visual Studio, and people were pretty like, "Oh, this is possible." So yeah, we're hoping we can get that as in the box soon. That'd be neat. Working with WSA team on that. Be fun. That actually will help us also on the ARM side, right? So because WSA works on Windows ARM.
Yeah, I just dropped a link. We always talk about Book of News. I didn't realize it was actually a.
There is a Book of News, yes. Yeah, there's a whole website.
We talk about it. We contribute to it.
That's why I said there's a Book of News. This is all the announcements. These are all the announcements that Microsoft PR wants us to, to talk, like basically a list of all the stuff that was announced in the keynotes and that sort of thing. The big deal, the big things, the new things.
You're right. The new things, not just the incremental stuff.
I mean, there was a lot. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff that we talked about that was already released. These are kind of like the brand new things that were announced.
Awesome. Well, I think for sure, Copilot is coming to everything.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it in the places where you want it, file an issue, feedback, say, where's my Copilot? And they're probably working on it. Honestly, they probably they might be even dog fooding it now. So you can just get access to it sooner. Yeah, so thank you, Beth and Becky, for joining. Somewhat last minute, I wrangled them in, and I was like, "Hey, teammates, pals, come fill some space with me." And I think it was a lot of fun. So,
I think I achieved taking up space today, so glad to be here.
and you bring all the wonderful, like your whole wall just looks like
so many years of being at Microsoft and in the .NET ecosystem here. So
yeah, Beth, there was a question about the CDs at the top. Your mouse ears.
Oh, these are actually DVDs. This is SQL Server 2005 and Visual Studio 2005 at the Ready to Rock launch event. That was cool. I was before I even joined Microsoft. I was an MVP long time ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, that was one of my all-time favorite launches. That's signed by the singer of Cheap Trick. Also, the Orange County Choppers, they built a motorcycle for SQL Server team. And so I got their signatures too. So anyways, lots of stuff.
Cool.
So,
all right.
There you go.
Well, with that, I think that we are done for the day. Thanks everybody for hanging out, chatting with us. Hope you all go watch some build sessions, catch up, and go download some bits, build some stuff, and show us what you're doing.
Build some cool stuff.
All right. See y'all next time. Bye.
See ya. Bye.